I'm Brian. This is Oren. And we're happy to be here. I think we'll start with a video.
Yeah.
מה זה? יש פה בטון. מה יש פה? זה לא משהו.
This is what happens when you don't adapt. It really reminds me spray and pray, but here it's pray and spray.
You have time, or do you have to go fix something?
I have a lot of time. Actually, I have a lot of business. Actually, not in measurement, in home improvement. So if you have some stuff, I have now all the tools and the measurement to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning. How's everyone doing? It's always hard in Vegas in the morning, but people look fresh from here. It's great to be here. It's great to follow Eric. A lot of what he said will provide context for what I want to talk about. I'm super excited to be back on the stage at MAU. I'm even more excited to shortly introduce 3 customers of ours who will share their own stories of how they're adapting. But first, I wanted to ask, who woke up this morning and thought to themselves, today is a day I want to adapt or die? One, Reshef. It's not a common, I wasn't expecting to get any hands, but it's not a question that we typically ask ourselves. So why am I asking it? Well, we're in a moment that is demanding us to make some radical change so that we don't get left behind in our businesses. See, last year we were here on stage, MAU was back in action. There was some uncertainty in the air, but certainly there was a sense of optimism. We were coming out of the pandemic, we were getting back together. But as I stand here today, in 2023, halfway through, things feel very, very different. MAU is anything but marketing as usual. See, we are being asked to make some serious decisions on behalf of our businesses so we can adapt and thrive. There are 3 fundamental elements coming together that are shaping our environment right now that affect everyone in this room and all of our companies. And I want to talk to you about those. They are the economic challenges we're facing. They are the privacy landscape that Eric just talked about. And it is AI innovation. So, the economy, no doubt we are in an economic downturn. And when we see economy slow, we see changes in consumer behavior. We see this in the data across every app category coming out of this pandemic. Consumer confidence is weaker. Fears of recession are playing into people purchasing less and cutting back on services. And likewise, marketing has to adapt to this reality. Like you, I'm being asked to scrutinize every dollar we spend and prove its value with accurate and trusted data. The privacy landscape continues to evolve at a major clip. We've seen numerous changes roll out even since we were here last year together. SKAN 4, laws coming into place in Europe and across multiple states in the US, and Google Privacy Sandbox is on the horizon. And this is going to be big, and we are not ready for it. Eric mentioned this is a sea change, and this is a war for privacy is happening underneath the surface. And what does that mean to you in this room? Well, privacy changes create a lot of complexity for businesses. That increases the resources and the overhead. And oftentimes, for marketers, it results in a loss of signal and an inability to grow. And these are significant challenges. Third is the innovation of AI. You don't need me to sit here and tell you how this is going to fundamentally reshape the world as we know it. And it's urgent that we think about how to leverage this powerful technology so we don't get left behind. So how do we adapt with so much stress and uncertainty? As with any crisis, there will be winners and losers. If we look back at the last several economic cycles, we see throughout the ups and downs the household names that didn't make it through the 2008 recession. Yet we see others started and thrived during that time. One of those is Sweetgreen. Started in 2007, they made it through the 2008 Great Recession and have since scaled, opening hundreds of locations across the country, now generating 2/3 of their revenue from online orders. And how did they do that? Well, we wrote a case study with them. You can see the detail. But one of the highlights is they created a seamless experience between their app and their web. They brought acquisition data, LTV data into the same platform so that they could make very sharp budget bidding optimization decisions in real time, keeping a competitive advantage against others in the market. Another example, Shein, a massive Chinese e-commerce marketplace, a longtime AppsFlyer customer, very data-driven. They analyzed user acquisition data, able to understand consumer trends, and then feed that to adapt their product assortment and inventory. This gave them the ability to understand what their consumers were looking for by looking at data higher in the funnel. And these are just two examples of many, of customers of ours and brands out there that are thriving. And this is the time. But it's not just our customers that are adapting. We're adapting too. Let's look at a few recent examples. First off, we've completely reinvented attribution in the world of privacy and iOS. We launched a conversion studio, which automate recommendations for SKAN setup. We launched a single source of truth, which deduplicates SKAN data from non-SKAN data to give you a clear picture of reality. And we launched predictive analytics, which give marketing teams early ability to optimize early in the campaign lifecycle. Now, we know that privacy is bigger than iOS. And soon, collaboration on the internet will happen without any user-level data. So we brought to market a unique and powerful data clean room, which we talked about last year at this time, and have since started working with many innovative companies who've already adapted to this future reality. And the ML models and the AI that powers these data clean rooms are not just focused on privacy, now they're everywhere. 2 weeks ago, we launched the industry's first measurement and analytics solution for ChatGPT plugins, allowing everyone in this room the ability to capitalize on this groundbreaking technology. Now, I'd like to shift gears and bring up 3 of our amazing customers one by one so you can hear directly from them. First to the stage, please help me welcome Jenny Conover, Senior Marketing Manager at the Match Group.
Thanks, Brian. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jenny Conover. I'm a Senior Marketing Manager at Match Group. At Match, we own over a dozen of dating apps in our portfolio. Each of the app has their own unique core demographic and deals with their own unique marketing challenges. My team is in charge of running mobile user acquisition for OkCupid and Hinge. When I was approached to speak on stage about the theme of adapt or die, I immediately thought how we have been adapting to the privacy-centric marketing landscape. Before iOS 14 rolled out, we were investing pretty heavily on social channels targeting iOS devices. And so when SKAN rolled out, it presented a couple of major challenges for us. Challenge number 1 was the lack of user-level attribution, and challenge number 2 was data accuracy. The first challenge of lack of user-level attribution is rooted in the fact that as a subscription-based business, we run our performance marketing optimizing to very strict cash return and ROI goals. And with the lack of user-level data, it was impossible for us to report or optimize to those KPIs. The second challenge of data accuracy, what I mean by that is that when we started testing SKAN campaigns, we were noticing inconsistent results on certain channels with what we knew based on our historical performance in pre-iOS 14. So we needed to come up with a solution that would help us not only continue spending, but also doing it on iOS devices, but also continue doing it confidently, efficiently, and at scale. One of those solutions became leaning into web to app, So we have been experimenting with web to app flow even before SKAN at a small scale. So when SKAN rolled out, we started leaning into it a little more and experimenting a little more. So here's how it works out. Sorry. What I mean by a web to app is we buy campaigns optimizing to web conversion or traffic objectives, and we send traffic to dedicated landing pages. So this is how it looks in practice. Here's an ad on a social channel that is prompting a user to download our app. When a user clicks on this app, they're then redirected to a dedicated landing page that has another CTA on it, and when a user clicks that CTA, they're then taken to the app stores and they can install the app. This execution is made possible by leveraging AppsFlyer Smart Script, which is powered by deep linking technology. So the way it works is that Smart Script ensures that the source of attribution is carried throughout a user engagement from install to subscription and any event in the user lifecycle in between. And this goes on way beyond 24 to 48 hours post-install. So we started testing web to app flow just on a handful of apps on a couple of channels. And initially, we were concerned that adding that extra step in the user flow would have a negative impact on performance. But the results looked pretty strong and promising, so we continued testing and scaling this. In parallel with running web to app campaigns, we also wanted to continue testing and measuring SKAN campaigns. So we wanted to understand the impact that SKAN had on the growth, and we looked at our own first-party data to supplement SKAN data. As I mentioned earlier, when we started running SKAN campaigns, we were seeing discrepancies in SKAN performance and our own internal data. So we knew this was an issue, and even though AppsFlyer rolled out a solution a year later, the solution that was deduplicating non-SKAN data from SKAN data, we didn't want to wait, and we needed to find a solution immediately. So we built our own model to make sense of this data. And here's how we do it. We basically use incrementality measurement. We look at our average number of installs or registration in period, whether it's daily, weekly, or monthly. So we establish our baseline. We then introduce a SKAN campaign. We start running SKAN campaign one channel at a time to eliminate other variances. And then we monitor the baseline and seeing what happens to the baseline, any movement in the baseline. Basically, that movement and that variance in the baseline is then getting credited to SKAN campaign. And so we then compare the variances between our own data and the SKAN data. And if we notice that the level of variance between SKAN and our internal data is low, then we continue testing and scaling SKAN on that channel. And if the variance is fairly high, then we lean onto web to app for that particular channel. So this approach helps us validate SKAN data and with our own internal data, and then we continue investing on iOS with a lot more confidence and at scale. So with these two solutions, we did not have to pivot from spending on iOS when iOS 14 rolled out. In fact, with the adoption of web-to-app campaign across almost every app in our portfolio, we have been able to increase our share of investment on iOS for some apps going higher than pre-iOS levels. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. Such great to see the SKAN and web-to-app results. I'd like to now welcome Vincent Eterle.
Hi, everyone. Hi, I'm Vincent. I'm the Senior Marketing Director at fuboTV. For those who don't know fuboTV is a subscription service. We are the sports TV leader in the US. We carry over 175 networks of premium sports channels, local sports, and national sports. We also carry entertainment and news. We're available on web, mobile app, connected device like Roku, Fire TV, and also smart TV. When I joined fuboTV in 2017, my primary mission was to acquire users on the Apple Store and Google Play Store and to grow our organic presence. In order for us to use the app stores as a canal of user acquisition and not just having our app sitting there. What became pretty obvious really quickly is we noticed that our users were coming on mobile web or mobile app to subscribe, but directly transition to the bigger screen, so to our connected device and smart TV. The retention was the best for users who were using multi-device, or just the main device. For a couple of reasons. Because suddenly users were sharing the product on the big screen, so with their entire family, so the subscription make more sense instead of being alone watching it on mobile. And also it was the best user experience. Our apps are really the best experience for user on tvOS, Fire TV, Roku, or Smart TV. So what we tried to do first was with our CRM team to transition and move our users, so to get them to subscribe, sign up on mobile web or app, and then transition them on CTV. But what was the piece where we were missing was how to get and how to talk to those users directly on the bigger screen. So since then, it was really important for us to try to find a way to speak to those users directly in the middle of their living room. So for that, we start working with AppsFlyer. So we were working with AppsFlyer since day one on our mobile app, but we started working with them on cross-device measurement and multi-platform attribution. Here, two things really happened that accelerated our change for us to adapt. First was the depreciation of IDFA, iOS 14. That came with a lot of challenges. So we were starting to not understanding our data. So we needed to switch budget and still be competitive and relevant to our users. And then all of our CTV and CTV directly connected device app stores, we're starting to have a growing inventory, and we're starting to see competitors buying inventory on those platforms. The problem is we were blind. We had no way of measure the efficiency of this campaign, or just simply measure what was going on in terms of organic and paid. So we've been working with AppsFlyer really closely and started to create a roadmap, a plan to select first our top device, prioritize our top device, and integrate them one by one. So we started slowly, and every time we're success, we transition to the next platform. And then to today's we have everything integrated on AppsFlyer. So our mobile app, but now we have our Roku app, our Fire TV app, our LG app, or our Samsung or Vizio, and they all came with challenges because they're all specific OS. Suddenly, we were having like only like iOS and Android, and now we have like all those apps to work with. Means like we'd like quadruple the works, like this to have like suddenly like all of our app in one platform help us like tremendously to manage like our UA budget. So our UA budget changed a lot on CTV. Like at the beginning, we were like barely spending because we were blind. We didn't see like performance. We didn't have like a good tool for measurement. So we were like really careful like to buy on those CTV app stores. But then as soon as we started like to be integrated with AppsFlyer, we grew our budget, and then it's where like we started like to see our performance. So we continue to grow until like this year we're actually like expecting like a reduction in our spending. But so it's like just a natural progression, but also due like to the marketing and the economics right now. But it also just because now we have like all of our data in one place that we can make like the smart choice. So we know that with less money we'll be able like to do more this year, because now we're able like really to compare like each platform, each app, which one has the best retention, which one has the best users, where our users are spending their most time, and where it's the most efficient for us to acquire our users. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Awesome to see all the growth, Vincent at Fubo. Finally, it's my pleasure to bring up Yi Gong, Senior Director of Growth at Tilting Point.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you guys here. I'm Yi from Tilting Point. We're a mobile game publisher. As the Senior Director of Growth Marketing, I'm overseeing the growth strategy for our portfolio, including user acquisition, ad monetization, and organic as well. So we have over 28 titles with varying goals of in-app purchase and in-app ads. So when SKAN came along, we faced similar challenges to what Jenny mentioned earlier. Without the user-level measurement and the complexity of SKAN in general, it's very difficult for marketers not only to get the information we had before, but also how to do it in an efficient way. We have adapted very fast. So we started the SKAN solution with Facebook back in Q1 2021, where we need to spend a lot of time manually set up all the conversion value for each app. We're lucky to see some good results early on, and we restart the campaigns on iOS after that. And since after I released their SKAN solution, we switched to the AppsFlyer SKAN solution for two main reasons. First, we want to have all the measurements together, so it will be easier for the marketers and data scientists to analyze the data and report the performance. Secondly, from our conversation with AppsFlyer team, we have known that they will come up with different solutions over time, and that will be much beneficial for publishers to do different optimization. So that's why we moved ahead to AppsFlyer solution. Today, I want to highlight two solutions that really made a difference to us, and also how we approach SKAN and started to rescale our iOS spend on our titles. So the first one is Conversion Studio. I'm pretty sure people here are all heard of it. Before Conversion Studio, most people only able to set up the conversion value from $1 to 64 due to the complexity involved of customizing the bit mapping for each app. With this new tool, which allows us to customize the conversion value based on different revenue range, but also up-funnel event as well. So most use case for the UA team here is we're able to open the custom event optimization with different network, and it has a lot of potential of lowering down the CPI, but also bring in engaged users. And you can always bring back this conversation to your product team on analyzing which event can be a better benefit for your target, and ultimately you will find the ones that can generate good ROAS and also high LTV as well. This is the first feature that we have seen a lot of growth, help us a lot. And the second feature is really new. It's called predict. So we're still in the early testing stage, I would say. So we only ran a 1 month test on one of our games. So what it does is it will update the conversion value schema based on the predicted user value. So then we also connected with Facebook team that we pass the predict value, and then we run the value optimization campaign. So we're seeing a 25% increase on the SKAN ROAS on the first week's result. Unfortunately, we need to pause the campaign before the test ends due to some UA strategy change internally. But we're happy with the early result, and we're talking to see what else that we can work together with this product. So that's what we have done so far with SKAN. And so what did all this do to our business? Since we started measuring with AppsFlyer in 2016, we have 19 games exceeded ROAS target. So here you can see some early result with our iOS test on SKAN solution. One of our game is able to double the spend when SKAN release as the earliest adopter. So we're not able to see the success on all the title we wish we had, but at least we can carry on the learnings to managing the test on other games and to figure out the different strategy in terms of different genres, different user profile, different monetization types as well. Grandly to say, this result do not reflect our recent test with predict. As I said, it's too short. So definitely we are optimistic on the early result, but we are considering to move forward with other tests to see how predict can bring us the values on iOS 14 campaign in general. So that's we have grown so far on mobile and SKAN. We're looking to take to the next level with cross-platform. Tilting Point has invested a lot into Web3 last year. And after we saw what happened on the market, we decided to move beyond on Web3. So we're working to build a mobile gaming platform based on browser, which has not only Web3 features, but also many others for users to explore. And that will also bring to what Brian will talk more about next on how AppsFlyer plans to help publishers like us on measurements on both PC and console. Thank you, everyone. Let's welcome back Brian.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Yi, for those insights. So before we go, I want to talk about one more thing. And it builds a little bit on what Yi and Vincent had just shared in their stories. So as we know, revenue doesn't come from a single platform. And growth is beyond just mobile apps. The world is becoming very cross-platform. And this is true of many businesses and many industries, but especially right now, this is happening in gaming. As you can see here, mobile is the largest revenue source for gaming. However, about half the industry's revenue comes from console and PC games combined. It's huge, and it's growing. In fact, about 28% of all gamers play on cross-platform. And we've seen recently mobile game studios expand into these platforms and are able to drive top-line revenue between 20 and 40% growth. Now, this is a significant shift for these businesses. It represents a very strategic direction. But it puts the marketing teams in a tough position. Why is that? Traditionally, PC games, console games are marketed via billboards and esports events and movies and influencers. And that's what that slide is supposed to show you. So just imagine it. This is at night. While these channels give high exposure, it's very hard, if not impossible, to measure their impact on short-term revenue. And this is the mindset of a mobile marketer. How do we understand short-term revenue? How do we optimize for what's working and what's not? This is very hard. So I am thrilled to stand here and announce that AppsFlyer has launched PC and console measurement solutions for performance campaigns. We've listened to the market, we've worked very, very hard to bring this out, and we think this is really going to help all of us, not just gamers, expand and adapt in these conditions. This solution now supports measurement for Steam, Epic, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, and Meta Quest. And as you know, we already support everything in mobile, connected TVs, and on the web. So now you can run performance campaigns, understanding measurement and user cross flows across mobile, web, connected TVs, PCs, and gaming consoles. This is huge. This solution, Kabam is an early adopter here. They're investing very big in cross-platform. Cole and his team have already seen very strong results, but demand is very big. It's overwhelming. In fact, this is the biggest topic in the gaming industry today. So we're very excited to continue to innovate to allow you to adapt and think outside the box of mobile. Check out this QR code for more product specifics. I want to thank you and have a blast this week at MAU.